We're ready.
For the day in the shop. And
Yeah. Going straight your way. Lead on.
so different.
I'm right here, Susan. Sorry.
All right, let's get started. I'm Jeff Ford. I've been here for 32 years, and this is right here is the original part. These two rooms back in here. Then it's been added on to over the years. Only thing I ask is nobody's hitting no switches. Yeah. As you can see, we use all solid hardwoods. Oak, cherry, walnut, and mahogany. We do use some poplar and maple for the interior parts. You know, obviously, you don't want to put walnut inside just so much. This room right here pretty much makes all of the dining room pieces. Anything does the dining room in small slaves and it's jewelry boxes.
Where do you get most of your wood from?
A lot of it comes local. The Alpha Boys over here in Novum. We used to get some over in Orange, but Mike Wheeler's mill burnt down. The cherry typically comes out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Get it from Alan McIlvain or either a T-Bird.
But the black walnut you get local?
Some.
Some.
And some comes out of Missouri.
Okay.
You know, just depends on who we get it from. Cherry typically grown in a colder climate is less mineral streaks.
Okay.
So that's why most of that's coming out of Pennsylvania and above. Of course, your mahogany is imported, but we buy it through a broker, either T-Bird or the other McIlvain. But this is a frame to a table. As you can tell, we use a mortise and tenon construction, and then we reinforce it with corner blocks. And all the lumber is, if you get it green, you typically sets out on the yard for about 6 months in between sticks and air dries. And then it goes in the kiln for about 2 weeks, and we slow dry it. And your ultimate goal is to get it down to around 6%. Anything from 4 to 9 is pretty much fine, but you know, it's gonna pick up percentage or so. So that's why we try to go to about 6. As you can see, most of the equipment, we have some modern things, that's all table is more modern. But most of the equipment is made all over the building. This is the mortise machine that drills your mortise from tenon to fit in. This piece here is an old homemade job. All of your bed posts to put underneath of that, just sand the square apart. You can use the end to break the tenons, break the edges on the tenons. And then here is the glue room. As you see, they perforate the wood, trying to get the grains to match the best that you can. And we use the animal hide hot glue. It's mixed with water in those pots right there. If you can see, it's all over the floor. You glue them up, pretty much let them set overnight. Then you take that disc grinder and get all the glue off of them. This right here is the old glue wheel. The smaller panels and stuff that you glue up, they'll glue them in here, clamp them. Then you just keep rolling around till you fill the wheel up. Down there is the boiler room. The whole shop is heated. We use all of our sawdust and scrap lumber to heat the shop and to fire the kilns. It's a little homemade kiln right there that we use, and that's, you know, a lot of your big posts and stuff we'll put in that, and long process to dry. Come back here, it's almost like stepping into a different world, a little bit newer. This is where all the big machinery are. That's a copy lathe right there. You see all the bed posts, patterns, table leg patterns, finials, everything. Little baby arms for the baby chairs and rockers. You put that post in the back of that lathe right there and set it up, and close the gate, and it'll turn one of those posts in probably 5, 6, 7 minutes. But you still have to take it out and put it in a traditional lathe and sand. We don't do the sanding for you. That's probably the newest piece of equipment we got, the planer. Right here is the shaper. We do the molding and stuff. Another mortise machine that we use your arm instead of your foot. This right here is probably one of the best pieces of equipment we have as far as saving time. It'll put something, it's a 50-inch belt on it, but typically up to 48 inches wide. It's got 3 belts on it. The first belt is 80 grit sandpaper, the second one is like a 100, and the third one's a 150. And pretty much once it comes out of that, you just gotta vibrate sand it a little bit, you know, to get to what you're looking for. If you have any furniture from here that doesn't have dovetail drawers in it, it means it came before 1955. These are dovetail machines that does the drawers, and they started using the dovetail machines in around 1955 or so. That right there is a tenon machine. It cuts the tenon, it goes in the mortise. You set it up. The first blade squares the piece of wood off. The second, the 2 heads there, you adjust them for your thickness and how much you want the shoulder to be. And then the last blade there, if you're doing a double tenon construction, where it cuts that middle leg.
How does the dovetail machine work?
You stick it right down in there. There's a bunch of heads, and the thing just goes back and forth. One end goes in this, and then the other side does that side. And like I say, all of our lumber we get is rough sawn from the sawmill. Take a board like this, run it across that joint and get a flat edge on it. Then you go over to the planer and bring it down to whatever thickness you want. Back through here is basically a lot of wood. We got panels that's already glued up. We got smaller stuff as you see up there that you might use for drawer runner sticks and stuff like that. When they're cutting stuff off, you got the small stuff, you just put it back here and then they'll use it for something like that. They try to keep a bunch of bid posts already turned, for when they're making bids, they just come back in and grab what they need.
Excuse me, how do you adjust your humidity in the building? Is there?
Yeah, we really don't. I mean, it is what it is. We do have, you know, some humidifiers and stuff like that, but it's pretty much climate controlled. Everything in here is heated, so. Probably the biggest question I've had with every group today, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now before you ask. People wanna know why the floor is like this. Right there is the dry kiln. Both of those doors open up. The other end's the same way. You come in with the forklift and put it, stack it, and it's put on that rail-like system and pushed in there. And then after it's fired for about 2 weeks and down to what you want, let it cool down. You can just open it up and you can push it right out and then put it where it needs to go. Keep enough in here to use, but that big building right there is where we store most of the dry lumber. We don't put anything but dry lumber in that building.
There's no sprinkler system. Like
Yeah.
you have, is that what that is up
Yeah,
there?
we
Okay.
got somewhat of a system.
Yeah.
Now, that right there is the heat pipes.
Yeah. How many folks have you got working?
When I came here in 1989, it was probably 50-some people. Now it's about 14 actually in the shop. It was more people just in the chair room then than it is in the whole shop now.
Yeah.
Is that because of automation or just a smaller company?
Well, you know, people have retired over the years and really didn't need to replace them, you know, as things have slowed down. It's, back then you had about an 18-month backlog on orders. And, you know, as the world changes, people want it right now.
Yeah.
And they more into the throwaway stuff and something different all the time.
Do you find it difficult to get new employees?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know, when a car wash is paying $18 an hour to push a button, it's hard to get somebody to come down here and work.
Yeah.
All right.
What's the backlog now on?
About 4 to 6 months on your bigger pieces.
So it's made to order.
Well, we try to keep
Buffets,
some
stuff like
stuff
that.
in stock. You know, we try to, but it's hard to do. That right there is what I was talking about, sitting on the yard for 6 months. You pack it in between sticks, put cover-up boards on top, and then, you know, once it stays out here and the air dries, it'll be eventually put in the kiln. This right here is another planer. That's the old planer. We use that on some things, and like people will bring some wood down and want something, we might have to run it through this because most of our lumber comes from sawmills that have metal detectors. And they can tell if it's a bullet or anything in it.
Yeah.
And they just scrap the log, where you never know what somebody cut something and needs. So we use this, but it'll show you how technology has come, because that planer in there that's like 20 years old, you can't hardly hear that running till the wood hits the knives. This one right here, if you were to start it, you better hold yours.
Yeah.
But it still works fine. Now we're going into the chair room. This is the lathe that you turn all the chair posts on. And he's got different heads he put on to put the different type knobs and stuff. He sharpens all his own blades and everything.
Does one employee specialize in something?
It's
or
one
does-
guy that
yeah.
runs this. He's actually 68 years old. And he's probably the only one down here that knows how to run it.
I was gonna say, what do you do?
This here is a round machine. You take a piece of lumber that's been cut down, you come through here, and when it comes out like those sitting over there. And then on that saw table, you can see it, guy there, he's got different sizes for different whatever, and he cuts it to length, and that's what you end up with. This right here is a gang rip saw. It's got 3 blades on it. So when you run a piece through there, you end up, with multiple pieces of wood. That's an old machine. You actually got that from W.J. Carpenter Coop Factory when they went out of business. How you doing? How you doing? This right here is the tank. We fill it up with water and it's heated. And you put the post in there for the chairs. The curled arm for the rib rocker. That's a straight piece of wood. You put it in there and heat it up. And then like your posts, you take them out when they're done. You take them out while they're still hot and wet and drive them in these stockades, and then they shape, like 2 weeks, they'll shape to form. And the same thing with that curled arm. It's put on a pattern there and taken back down and put in this little kiln and let it dry like that.
Never have a problem with them wanting to pull back and do funny things or so.
Well, that's the reason the rib rocker, the chair with the curled arm costs what it does, because you're going to lose a percentage of it.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Murphy's Law.
And right there, hanging up on both sides of the wall, that's the jigs that they put them on to get that shape.
Oh yeah, the curling.
Yep. This machine right here, you put a post in there, and it gives you your spot to put the slat in. That right there, he's got all of his patterns for the different chairs. At a whole 2 to 3 drill bits, and it's set up, and then that's what you end up with. And see, that's the bend that you're looking for in the chair.
Yeah.
Right here on these drum sanders, man that uses this never has to cut his fingernails. But, what he does is he's trying to get that end down where to fit in that post, but then he's got to blend this. But then after he finishes, once he gets it to fit in this slot right here, then it's gonna go in the chair. He knows he's far enough.
How long is that sandpaper good in there or so?
I'm not really sure how long they have before they change it. I mean, a big roll of it lasts a very good while, so.
Good.
Yeah. That machine right there is the machine that you cut the tenons on for your rounds. You set it up for whatever distance you need and it puts ends on it. That right there is pretty much the finished product of the rib rocker. And as you can see, you lose some of them. Now we'll go to the finishing room. This room is where they spray the killwood stain. If you get antique cherry, brown mahogany, red mahogany, fruitwood cherry, that's a sprayed on stain. They can't get the pigment right to do a wipe on, so it has to be a sprayed on stain. But as you can see, his mask there, and that hose goes over, and it's hooked up to a pump, and he's always getting fresh air. And his ultimate goal is to match the piece he's doing to this right here. And then when lacquer hits it, that's what it's gonna look like. As far as the chairs go, for the oak or walnut, this tank here has cherry stain in it. This one here has walnut stain in it. The antique oak is walnut stain on oak wood. They dip the chairs down in there, then hang them up there, and he knows how long to get the certain color, and then drops them down and wipes them off each chair by hand. As you can see, these are ready to go into the cedars. The cedars actually work in their own home.
Oh, yeah.
They work by the piece. We have a truck that runs once a week, takes them the supplies and the new chairs, and picks up the finished ones and brings them back. One of the guys is a co-pilot. Used to be, back in the day, half a Brightwood put seats in, and maybe the women.
Wow.
But after they're stained, then they get a coat of vinyl primer, which is a sealer. And then we put the seat in them, and then when they come back, you seal the seat, and then you start with the flat liner. You spray one coat of sealer, rough it up with 240 sandpaper, spray a coat of flat lacquer, rough that up with 240 sandpaper, and the last coat is put on to dry. And if it looks like it's thirsty, you can put 4 or 5 coats on, but 3 is sufficient.
Ever heard of Seawor's Lumber in Richmond?
What's that?
Seawor's Lumber in Richmond? My friend's family owns that. He would be fascinated with this. If he came up, would he get a tour?
We typically don't unless we have a special occasion.
Okay.
Especially if it's in operation.
Right.
OSHA and insurance won't allow that.
Right.
But you know, we do this on a rare occasion, periodically once a year or something.
Yeah, I'll tell him to look out for it.
Right here is where all your big pieces of furniture are stained. If it don't get a killwood stain, they just spray the benches out as far, whatever type of furniture you got. That's the white bright stain. As far as the tops go, they get a filler on them that kind of fills the grain, so it makes the top look better. That booth right there is where the primer, the sealer coat, is put on the chairs. And that booth right there is where the flat lacquer is put on. The big booth down there is where all the big furniture is sprayed. But that, you know, that's why we don't recommend using any furniture polish or wax, because nothing's getting to the wood. The wood's actually sealed with the lacquer, and all that furniture polish is doing is building up and making dust stick to it. And that's your finished product. So that's pretty much the gist of it, and I thank y'all. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Your thoughts? Amazing. It's great to see this line of work living on still. I mean, there's a lot of technique and technology that goes in here. This is just like a step back in time, and it's great to see this kind of furniture being made, and especially right here in Madison County.
Yeah, that's last time. This is